won't lie, I'm actually pretty excited for Black Ops 4's Days of Summer event this Tuesday and the update that will be following it. Honestly, it's not even because of the new cosmetics or things like that, the new game modes per se, or anything along those lines, but more so because we'll see our first substantial update to the game in 5 weeks, since the operation first began. While I'm sure that there will be pitfalls like every single update has had, unfortunately, in the past, whereas we saw Spectre Rising's update had the overabundance of reserve loot splitting up by camos and diluting the loot pool with charms, Shamrock and all had that $30 bundle of nothing, Grand Heist, had the introduction of supply drops and that since adjusted tier 100 earn error. While just following patterns, it might be something like that happens that sucks the joy out of the rest of the game and the update at that point, which otherwise could be really cool. I'm excited for the sliver of hope and optimism that maybe there's something really cool with this update. And while we fast approach Tuesday and what it may bring, I do want to present to you some information to consider for the upcoming update. One that truthfully, as you'll see, I'm not entirely certain on how to interpret it, but it may have some effect on how you earn the newer items in the game come Tuesday's update. If you remember back to whenever Operation Spectre Rising first began, it was actually something that a lot of people in the community were either doing this inadvertently because they had everything in reserves, or they were just doing it out of choice to try and get a jump on everything that they may see in the update. People were saving up and stocking up their reserve crates. Now, it didn't work out, and we'll explain a little bit why a little further in the video. It didn't work out exactly how people had hoped. Now, it turns out there actually has been an official statement on this here from Activision support, because the Reddit user OCools ended up posting his interaction with Activision support, in which he submitted a ticket asking about the return on his cases that he had saved up before Operation Spectre Rising, to which he didn't get much of anything, if anything at all. Now, support's official answer was, in regards to your inquiry about the reserve crates, your case has been reviewed by a higher team. You can have previously obtained reserves and open them with a new operation launch, but you will receive new items once you have all previous operation items, so it's currently working as intended. Feel free to reach out to us again if you need help with anything else in the future. So in layman's terms, this simply means, well, you didn't get anything because you had no ability to get anything. Meaning that those saved reserve cases did not grant players new items, and that was working as intended. That was supposed to be like that. Which is one of those things where I just don't understand the mindset and the thought process behind that. Very similar to that, again, previously mentioned tier 100 earn error in Grand Heist whenever that first launched, because if you guys remember that, not to get off topic too much, but it was another similar thing where it just doesn't make sense from a logical standpoint in past scenarios. At that point, if you reached tier 100, you would not get a reserve case for 101, 102, and so on and so forth. And this is the same sort of thing. This directly contradicted anything that I said at the beginning of the event, and also many other YouTubers did as well, about stocking up your reserve cases so you could get a jump on the new items. Because, well, we were wrong. Grand Heist was the first introduction of the reserve cases and bundle crates trend in Black Ops 4, but before that we'd only ever seen reserve cases that opened automatically in the way of their tier progression after you reached tier 100, or in the case of First Strike, tier 200. Those did not stack. The ability to actually save up reserve cases either via time or in-game via your tiers was something that was introduced with Grand Heist, so up until this point we had absolutely no idea. And I was previously wrong because it would have been our first transition into a newer operation. Spectre Rising was that first turnover in which we had from an event with this introduced into a newer event where new items were added in. Personally, I figured it worked the same way that it did in World War II and Infinite Warfare, where cases were not stuck to a single operation, but instead were just RNG of the loot pool at the current time of opening them. And that's honestly something that, having those past patterns in place, I figured they would have just done the same thing. I remember countless times in World War II where I'd kick on a live stream and showcase some of the things real time to the viewers that tuned in for that because, well, I could. I ended up saving up dozens, if not maybe over 100 supply drops per operation, and then whenever a new operation and new content came along, it didn't matter. I had an even chance of getting all the items that I wanted, or at least the variants of the new weapons that I wanted, and if I didn't, I could go over to the armory and buy them all with armory credits. That's how it was for the last 2 outings before, so to me, to expect a static scenario that didn't change, I didn't really think twice of it. I didn't think it was out of the ordinary to expect that to happen again, and for it to be changed to be something more anti-consumer. But as you may have found out if you follow me over on Twitter, or maybe even you found out for yourselves with your own cases, personally I'd opened up 180 cases cases and more that I'd collected over Grand Heist, but when I opened them at the beginning of Spectre Rising, I got a grand total of 0 new items. The only ones that I got were a few face paints from the contraband stream, which isn't even an indication of the reserve content. So coming back to that previously mentioned Activision support email, that explains in full why we didn't get that, because it wasn't something we were supposed to get with older crates. But that said, we now have the information that what does this mean for the future, and more specifically, Days of Summer, because that is the next larger content update here, and it's the first time that we've seen a split of an operation cut into halves where one is up front and one is halfway through, which Days of Summer is that halfway marker. Truthfully, I think this comes down to your own interest. I'm not saying that it's a terrible idea to save them, but I'm also not saying it's a terrible idea to open them, because the email refers to operation over operation, not necessarily a content update. So it really is a 50-50 gamble almost, where we still may be able to compound the items in saved cases, but we won't know definitively until Tuesday. Because Tuesday, again, is that content update, not necessarily an operation update. And that's where I'm torn, because the wording of operation. Tuesday's update for Days of Summer is still the same operation, Spectre Rising, but it's just an event inside that operation. The next operation for Black Ops 4 is scheduled for the next month at some point, whatever 35 days is after Tuesday the 4th this upcoming Tuesday is. So this is where the consideration comes down to you, really. Do you either recognize the risk of not opening all your drops until Tuesday, having those saved up, maybe 10, 20, 30, maybe 100 plus drops that you've saved up so far over Spectre Rising, only to find that maybe you get the items from Operation Spectre Rising's launch and the stuff before and nothing from Days of Summer? Or do you get all the items entirely in an equal chance at that because you saved up all those crates and it's the same operation, so the content there within isn't something that is restricted by what you earned in the same operation reserve crates? This is where ultimately I think it turns to you, and where honestly my say is honestly completely irrelevant at this point, because I'm probably just as confused as you are with it. Personally, I haven't saved any cases since the beginning, just because I had such what I thought was luck, bad luck, at the beginning of the operation, but I just kept opening them one by one. So I've kind of involuntarily removed myself from the equation before I really even thought it through, that this is something that maybe only refers to, say, Operation 5 in July, not necessarily Days of Summer. But Tuesday looks to bring a whole new plethora of different things in reserves, like we talked about in yesterday's video. Things like new Blackout characters, camos, weapon charms, Mark II weapons, mastercrafts, reactives, a lot of stuff that looks to be in reserve cases as of Tuesday's updates, though if you're interested in any of those, you probably want to be a little conscious of your actual choice leading up until then to save or spend your reserve cases. So wanted to keep you guys in the loop here at this one. Anybody at Activision or Treyarch that may be watching this, truthfully, I think transparency is the biggest key here with this. I'd love to know flat out if this is something that is going to affect operation to operation or event in operation content updates. And if it is something like this, can we just think about getting that removed, please? I honestly don't understand at all why you can't be rewarded for saving up and being patient with what you end up earning over the course of what is ultimately 70 days. I just don't understand that at all. It's not even like it's something that is grind worthy and instantaneous, like something that would cut directly into revenues. You gotta wait 70 days to utilize some of the stuff you may have been starting to save up. So if there's literally anybody watching, please, for the love of God, can we consider changing this? But at the end of the day, like we mentioned, while this seems to be a little bit of a downer of a point, we still have some cooler stuff to look forward to come Tuesday, like the new modes in Blackout, the new vehicle in Blackout, potentially a seasonal change map for Blackout with the barbecue grill that we saw in yesterday's Treyarch profile picture as a teaser for Days of Summer, new modes in MP, new contraband stream with 2, maybe 3 weapons, and hopefully some more cool stuff in terms of camos that is more than what we got with the first split of Operation Spectre Rising, where it was just calling cards and a couple of uniforms at best outside of those 2 weapons. And also it looks to be the return of Perkaholic from Treyarch's updated profile picture from today. Now just leaving the only teaser that we've yet to see for Days of Summer to be MP, but there's still a bunch of cooler stuff coming, but I thought it was important to share this information. So while of course this might have seemed like a little bit more of a downer video, I hope that it doesn't seem to negatively reflect Days of Summer before it even began. So like I said at the very beginning of the video, I am excited here for it and what's on deck, and hopefully you guys are as well, but I want to make sure you guys had as much information as possible going in and hopefully getting some newer items out of the update. That said, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to here out of Days of Summer? What do you think here of this? Do you think this refers to stacking reserve cases from operation to operation, or do you think it will be something that is hindering the earn rates of newer content if you saved up your reserve cases with Tuesday's update of Days of Summer? Let me know your thoughts thoughts, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you're already new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered with the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. So you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But let's end that away. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Modest Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.